I just did some wine tasting up in north of Santa Barbara in Santa Ynez recently, and I love having a nice glass of either Sauvignon Blanc or Pinot Grigio in the summertime are my favorite.
Welcome to the Courage to Create coffee chat with published and inspiring authors. In the summer, I always feel that it should be, maybe it shouldn't be a coffee chat, it should be more of a drinking chat. I have someone very special with me. Her name is Jennifer Dickens, and she lives on the beach in California. I will let her introduce herself, but let me start with asking Jennifer, what's your favorite drink?
Oh, well, I just did some wine tasting up in north of Santa Barbara in Santa Ynez recently, and I love having a nice glass of either Sauvignon Blanc or Pinot Grigio in the summertime are my favorite. Um, if I'm in Europe and I'm in Spain, I love a really good sangria. And if I'm having a cocktail, my favorite has been either Henriksen tonic or Sapphire tonic. So,
Oh, I love it. um,
how about you?
those are mojito. I'm a mojito girl, and then definitely a sangria.
Yes.
So yes. Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. And if you can put your favorite summer drink in the chat. We're super excited to have you here. And Jennifer, I will let you introduce yourself.
Sure. Thank you so much, Magdalena. This is such a blessing to be on your program and to be able to share about my writing. And my name is Jennifer Dickens. I'm a Heart Math certified coach and a Six Heart Illuminations facilitator. I also have a extensive background in corporate marketing. So I have a little bit, I would say, an extended period of experience with corporate writing and writing for business and writing for marketing, but that's very different than writing for a book or a novel or a story type thing. And I support people in awakening their heart wisdom and tapping into divine love, into self love, and expanding their capacity to love, as well as help people um, really get into their inner world through meditation, through breath work, and just kind of start quieting down the noise, quieting down the chatter. I guide them through meditation and visualization using some of the heart math techniques, but then I kind of go beyond them and I go deep. I find that when I have my classes, my clients love the visualization meditations the best.
That's beautiful. A girl of many talents. And I know we are supposed to be talking about your book. And what's the title of your book that you just published? And it is a #1 bestseller in the inspirational personal testimonies.
Yes, yes. It's called Awakened Hearts. I have actually my printed
Ooh.
copy in paperback as well as hardback just came in. Woohoo! So it's Awakened Heart Stories of Embracing Light, Love, and Limitless Possibilities. So
I love
very
it.
excited.
Congratulations.
Thank
And
you.
congratulations on being the bestseller. So I'm really curious about your writing journey, your writing process, and then at what point you decided to call yourself a writer.
That's a very great question. I'll start with the first one and
Perfect.
before
I
I
know
get
it's
to
a
the
lot of it's
second.
a lot of questions. So let's start. Let's start
Yeah.
with your journey.
Yeah, like I mentioned in marketing, we do a lot of business writing, right? Marketing, writing, and but that's still writing, right? You learn how to structure and communicate in written and in visual terms, not just written, but in visual, because you're using graphics, you're using media, you're using video. Uh, and when I left the corporate world, my last corporate job when I was laid off, I actually booked a 1 month retreat up at Esalen in Northern California. It's this amazing retreat in Big Sur along the water. And the program was a 30-day program called Write Your Life. So it was a work study program. And so during the day, you would work at the retreat, and at night, we would have our classes, and then you would get full use of the facilities. And it was just really an amazing, amazing experience. And I just found the topic very interesting, but I never really saw myself like, I didn't do it because I had a book in me that I had to write. I did it because
Mhm.
I thought it was an interesting topic. So that was a long time ago. That was in 2008. So here we are, almost 20 years later, and my first book has come out in the sense of I'm a co-author of this book. So I have a chapter in this amazing, beautiful book. But this book, Awakened Hearts, came along when I was writing my full length book, Six Heart Illuminations Ascension through, Be Love Ascension through the Six Heart Illuminations. So, so I've been writing that book for about a year, and it came about because I had received some information and meditation and guidance, intuitive guidance, spiritual guidance, whatever you want to call it, to research and look into this process called the 5 stages of the heart. And it's to go from a dark heart to a pure heart. And I thought, oh, this is so interesting. It's so specific. And the guidance coming out of meditation was very specific. And I'm like, so I started documenting what came up, and this whole process came out of meditation and my research, and when I put together a process called the Six Heart Illuminations, and the guidance was to create an online course. So I had it all written. I had researched platforms. It was all set up. I had started recording the online course. And mind you, this was during COVID that all of this was happening. So we all had plenty of time to do things that we've never done before, right? Because we're kind of isolated. We can't go out and do stuff anyways. So this is what I was doing during COVID, was writing the course, Six Heart Illuminations. So one of my dear friends who used to work as an editor at Forbes magazine in New York years ago, she said, you can turn that, this is when we came out of COVID. She said, you could turn that online course into a book. And I said, really? She's like, yeah. And so I thought about it. I'm like, oh gosh, so then I looked at the course, and an online course is communicated very differently than a book. So it's taken me a year to repurpose the content, if you will, so that it flows like a book would. And I had to create some extra chapters to set the foundation for what the Six Heart Illuminations is. So there's maybe like 40 pages, quite a few chapters before we get into the meat of the content. And I still have to write the closing because it's with the editor, which is my dear friend Gina.
Okay.
I said, well, since you gave me the idea, you can be my editor. So we had a meeting a few weeks ago. She said she felt it was really well written, that she's going to actually make the changes in the content and just get I'm going to go in and either approve it or give additional contents. So it's very interesting, because we have so many options. We can self-publish, right? But if we've
Yeah.
never written a book before, I would say it's worth getting an editor to give it the quality that you probably want it to have, right? If you unless you just want to get content out, and you were really good in English, or you have a communications background or something, then maybe you don't need an editor. But I felt that I really wanted this to be a quality book because the process, the Six Heart Illuminations process, and all the content came out of meditation. So I feel like I was really just a channel for spirit, you know. And if it was important enough for spirit to channel it through me, I want to make sure that when it does get out to the world, it's professional, it's well written, there's a good flow, that I haven't forgotten any of the elements that should be in there, that there's a good conclusion or a next step, that people have resources and the right references, and also, when we first write a book, unless you take a lot of classes, but we take a lot of classes for a lot of things, but the first time we do it, it doesn't mean it's going to come out good. Like you wouldn't
Mhm.
do something and study it and not have your work checked before you put it out into the world because it's really a reflection of who we are. And I just want to make sure, that it's a professional quality piece and that it really lands with people's heart because this is, a very heart expanding, a heart deepening, a heart connection piece. And since she's in the consciousness space as well, she's left like the Forbes, the business world, many many years ago. She has her
Mhm.
own publication, Whole Life magazine, and so so anyway, so that's. I hope I didn't ramble on too much. So for me, those were the things that were important, and I feel working with a professional editor. Um, it is important, and I think there's a lot of affordable options out there right now.
Yeah, I,
And,
I agree. Yeah.
and so at a minimum, I feel people can find something that will fit their budget, because
Mhm.
there's,
There's so many options. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that's kind of been my experience. And then the Awakening Hearts book, uh,
Mhm.
came about, while I was going through this writing process with my book. And my business is called, has been Awakening Heart Wisdom. And then Awakened Hearts book, like, how could I not,
Yeah.
have get involved with the Awakened Hearts book? So I did. And in this book, we were asked to write our awakening story. And I feel my personal awakening, my spiritual awakening, my uh, heart awakening has been taking place for uh, 20, 15 years at least. So I was like, what story am I going to choose? Like, I felt
Mhm.
like I had so many options. I'm like, well, there's the original awakening story. I'm like, but that's been on my website for a long time. Do I
Mhm.
really want to just expand that and turn that into a chapter? I'm like, it's a good story, but I feel, I kind of felt like that story is already out there. So I'm like, well, what story would be one of my awakenings that would be unique, that would be different, that would be inspiring? So I chose a personal story that was more recent and it was very metaphysical, spiritual, metaphysical. It's kind of I would say, an unseen world, uh, um, integration or interaction with me in the seen world, right? So you don't read about those as often. So
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
felt it was important enough to share because it was such a transformative heart awakening experience for me. I've had two really big heart awakening experiences, and that was one
Mhm.
of them. That I felt would inspire people the most. Would inspire, and that's the feedback I've been getting from people who know me, uh,
Mhm.
friends in the spiritual community. I was just talking to my neighbors a little while ago, and they said, "Oh, I read your chapter. It was really, really good. It was so inspiring." And that's the whole point, that is to inspire people, to get them to contemplate, to get them to think about their life, especially more in the spirituality, personal development, self help space.
space. Yep, absolutely. I love so there's a couple of different things that I want to highlight that make it so unique. So I love the fact that you had a course and then from a course you were able to create a book. Usually it's the other way around. So
That's
that's,
right.
I find that so incredibly fascinating. And then the second part, I love what you said that it's quality over quantity, right? So having and the book being a representation of who you are and making sure that it truly represents your way of being and who you are. So I absolutely love that. I'm curious, what is your writing process? What does that look like? You did make it sound like super easy because you were like, oh, I get this all information from the spirit, but I'm curious, and I'm sure it wasn't as easy as it sounds.
No, no, it's not. That's a really great question. And, but before I answer that question, you were stating how important quality is, and I'll give you all a real life example. So because I have a marketing agency, I have a lot of uh,
Mhm.
businesses and universities that come to me. To help them market. It's the natural wellness, natural product space. But I do have some individuals who are launching products or launching businesses, usually established, who can afford an agency to support their marketing. So one time there was this gentleman who came to me, very wealthy, and he had a book, and he mailed me and a PR. I brought in a PR professional. He wanted us to get his book out, to the world, and so he sent a hard copy to me and to the PR person. And so I was reading the book, and there was typos everywhere, and it was rambling, and it was clearly, absolutely no editor. And
Uh,
this was just to give you an example, this is a gentleman who worked in Silicon Valley. I checked his LinkedIn profile. He was, I don't know, I want to say he was like at IBM or Hewlett Packard or some big company in a very high position. I was reading it and I'm thinking, how is this possible that this is his book? Right?
yeah,
And then I called up the PR professional who I had brought in, and she said, I am absolutely not working with this person at all whatsoever. That book is junk and da da da. Da. And I was, first of all, caught off by her judgment, but the book was such poor quality. Why would, like, he's hiring two agencies, me and a PR agency, to
yes.
get this out into to the world. And this is a quality professional. Like, he should have spent the money on a professional editor to make sure he had a quality book. And I just told him, I'm sorry, but, we can't
Mhm.
take on this project, is what I had to tell him.
Mhm.
And because my expertise is not public relations and
Mhm.
working with books, I work with companies, services, and products. So I just wanted to give you an example because, you know, the when you put something out into the world, it really represents who you are, what you're about, your values,
Yeah.
what's important to you. And so it really has to be quality. It has to be
Yeah,
quality.
that's a fantastic example, and I love it, especially nowadays. I think that I would have a no, I know I would have exactly the same reaction, especially when it comes to typos with things like Grammarly.
Yeah,
It's
there's
just
so
like
many tools.
wow,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's a really great example of why it's so important, and maybe for and to circle back to what you were saying also that now we can afford to have editor, right? So maybe it's like spending the money on the editor and saving on the PR rather
Yeah.
than vice versa, right?
Yeah.
So there's, having the options and being able to really, really, I want to say produce, but generate, create a high quality product. And, that applies to books, but also I feel exactly the same thing about newsletters and courses and,
Mm.
uh, you know, uh, all these digital content really represents who you are. And, again, I'm the first one to admit that I do make typos.
Oh,
I
we all
misspell
do, of
things.
course. Yeah, of course, we all do.
However, just being aware and creating a high, or at least trying to create a high quality content makes such a difference. So I want to go. I want to go back to the writing process,
Yeah.
and if you have any tips or um, what works for you,
Yeah.
what's your secret sauce? And I think you can share with us.
Yeah, yeah. So for me, uh, I have a deep meditation practice, daily rituals, my morning sadhana, where I can really connect with my higher self, my soul being, my connection to source. And when we connect to our higher self, our soul being, we have access to everything, right? So when we make the effort to still the body, still the mind, and really just kind of internalize, what I was finding is that I was getting clear concepts and thoughts and direction. Like, honestly speaking, I was really shocked at how much clarity there was that was coming through. And I would sit with a notepad and I would have it by me, and then I would get directions, go to this book, go to that book. And then I would read certain sections. And sometimes I would think, oh, am I supposed to read the whole book? And then I realized, no, you're supposed to just read the sections that you were guided to, for this specific, the Six Heart Illuminations that I was writing. And then um, ha- having um, uh, uninterrupted time to do that writing as well, right? So for me, uh, morning time right after my meditation, where before I get onto my computer and start checking emails, and so basically you schedule for me it was scheduling my writing time in my prime, when I'm at my prime, well rested, well nourished, have my cup of coffee, after meditation, and then just sit there and write or document whatever's coming through to me. um, I personally do like writing it out by hand and then typing it up later. I do feel there is a connection between our brain and our heart and our body that extends into our hand, just being the scribe of divine wisdom, heart wisdom, our intellect. So it's almost like we're scribing the wisdom, and it's continuing to come through us. And then, that's why journaling is a great, very therapeutic process, because
Mhm.
you're writing, you're getting it out, it's releasing physically out of your body, right? So as we write with a pen and paper, we're actually physically getting that information out of our body, and then we can just type it up real quickly. And there was Uh, trying to think how long it took me to write the whole book. Um, it took some time, but I was patient with myself. I wasn't trying to rush anything. Uh,
Mhm.
I was just kind of trying to put in process what I put together, and and then once it's written, and then once I type it up on the computer and spell check it, um, there's looking at what are what do you want people to experience from what they're reading. Um, so my book is, because it was a course, it's I want them to learn and to embody certain techniques, certain skills, And my book is going to be a very interactive book because there's guided visualization meditations in there, which are written, but I've already video recorded. It's a few years ago at the time that I wrote it, a video recorded with a sound bath
Hmm.
accompaniment,
Wow.
my guided visualization meditations. So people can buy the book and then pay to watch the videos, just click on the QR code and go to where they can just purchase the guided visualization meditations. So it'll be interactive in that way. Um, because I find that when in the personal development, spiritual and self-help space, that when they write affirmations or they write meditations, you can't read and then close your eyes and then you open up your eyes. Like it's not effective. I find it very ineffective. Like it's great and it's almost frustrating because you're like, I can't read and go into my inner world at the same time. So I said, well, I'm going to record these videos and put them on YouTube and let them come. They're private, so it's only people who subscribe to watch the videos because they're reading the book that can get those. Um,
That's a fantastic idea. I love that.
yeah,
And again, I love and I want to highlight that you are a beautiful example of the secret sauce called make time for your writing.
yeah,
Because this is like for me that's a recurring theme. So a lot of other people I've talked to said I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning,
yes.
and I loved what you said. And again, that's a very recurring theme. I do not look at my phone. So so it's like creating that space of I wake up and I have some either they do meditation, they stretch, they journal, without looking at our phones. I mean, I do exactly the same thing, but I just love hearing this, that, that part of the secret sauce is that, sometimes it's an hour, sometimes it's 2 hours, depending on people's
Yeah.
lives. But that's what makes it for a really successful, um, ritual or routine that actually allows people to write. I do agree with you. So again, for me personally, I do write by hand. A lot of people that I interviewed and talked to, they say, "Oh no, I need to type or dictate." Um, and I do like the idea of dictating,
Yeah.
because that's a very different experience. But for me, when I write, instead of typing, I just take a photo, and then the smart app types it up for me. So that was, I found that a million times easier. Um, uh, and then, like you said, then having or making the time to have your tea or your coffee and making that into your ritual, uh, and being patient with yourself.
Yeah.
There's when it comes to writing or, publishing the first, second, or whatever, the eighth book, there's still this impatience of like, when will I be done? Am I done yet?
Yeah.
You're so There's so many other things that I have to do. So I love that you said, being patient
Yeah.
with yourself. Um,
And
Perfect. So
also, I think that knowing yourself and when you're the most creative, right? So
yes, yeah,
uh, I'm most creative when I'm replenished and I have a lot of energy. So for me, mornings are great. I have a friend, she does her writing, starts at like 10 o'clock at night, and she
yeah.
writes till 1, 2 in the morning. But she does her meditation at like that time. Like if I do my meditation at that time of night, I fall asleep. So,
Yes,
I
same
mean,
here.
right, exactly. So people have to know what works for them. There's the night owls, but are you creative at that time of night? Even if you're a night
Absolutely.
owl, then if so, great.
Absolutely.
It's quiet. There's not a lot going on. The city's quiet. People are quiet. So it tends to be a very good time. And yes, early in the morning is great for people too. But my creative time is more reasonable, like, between 8 and 11 in the morning
Yeah,
is when.
perfect. John, for the dictation services, so I have a whole relationship with dictation services. So I started with Otter, and I really liked that service. However, it was paid, and so then I broke up with Otter, and I went with Apple Notes. So on Apple Notes, you can dictate the note, and it immediately types it out for you. And
Okay.
now I'm playing with doing notes. So I always experiment. So now I'm doing notes and dictate into either Chat or Claude to see where I get better results, because I have an accent.
Sure.
I'm experimenting with, like, who can recognize my amazing accent better.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, John, I would, try, when it comes to free, I highly recommend just Apple
Yeah.
Notes, and it's all in one place and makes life easier.
Yeah.
Um, so
And you also just brought up something really important, is using Chat and Claude, right?
yeah.
And so one of my dear friends is a AI consultant, and so
Mhm.
I had her come in and train me on different platforms. But I don't know that people realize this, but a lot of these platforms can be customized with your tone, your tone, your voice, your bio, so that when uh, there's writing that's happening, it's in your tone and voice, and
Mhm.
the platform knows who you are because your bio is there, right? So it might pull your bio. So um, so I don't I think there's good ways to use AI, but I think people have to be cautious, and I'm more than happy to talk about that, but I'll let you lead that conversation if you want to
I
get into
was
that
just
or not.
going. Yeah, I was going to just say, so A, we're at the half hour, and
Oh,
then B, I have a completely different series on ethical and responsible usage of AI, and so I would love to have that conversation with you, because I love having unique and very different perspectives of um, how do I how do I use AI in an ethical way, and then how do I use it responsibly, and at what point do I disclose, right? Because I had there's many discussions out there, should I have to disclose that I'm using Grammarly because I'm
yeah.
not a native speaker? And my answer is, yeah, absolutely. I'm more than happy to put at the end of my article that I have used Grammarly, or I have used whatever it is. But again, it goes back to how, like, how much to disclose, at what point do you disclose, how do you make it sure that it's done in an ethical way, and then and then there's a whole whole different field of, like, at what point does it cross the boundaries and you're stealing other people's ideas, and that's why I said that's why I have a separate session on that.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, sure, sure.
um
Yeah, I can give you my input on that
so
another
we'll
time. Yeah.
okay, perfect. um John says that his challenge is that all in memory forever, and some of my notes are brainstorm. Oh, I see. I see your challenge, John. Um, I do. So I have a system where I mark my notes as a brainstorm, and then I have my, like, take it to the next step folder, and then I have work in progress folder, and then I have final version collection of notes. But yes, there is for AI. That's why I shy away from it for notes. Oh, I think you're John. I think you are talking about Substack notes. And uh, yes, I think you are correct that in on notes, um, the notes are forever. For on and for AI. Yeah. So yeah, you are correct. So um, last question.
Sure.
What uh, if you were going to share with us one pearl of wisdom when it comes to either writing or um, it, either writing or publishing? What
Mhm.
is one pearl of wisdom that we can all take from this conversation? Go
Sure.
take it and then put it in action.
Oh, absolutely. So, my one pearl of wisdom, which is the pearl of wisdom I give for almost everything, whether it's writing, whether it's doing life, whether it's working, whatever it is always follow your heart.
Mhm.
So, in the Western world, we're very intellectually connected, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But our higher self, our soul being, our true divine nature resides in our heart. And when you can connect with your heart, you probably won't have writer's block because your divine nature, your soul being, your higher self does not have writer's block, right? We're overthinking, overthinking, right? So you get, and also feel into it. How does it feel? What you're writing, how does it feel? Oh my God, does it inspire you as you're writing and you're like, you know, are you feeling inspired? That all comes from your heart. Is it bringing you joy? Do you feel happy? Do you feel content? Are you feeling satisfied with what's coming out? Um, the writer's block also same thing. Maybe you're writing about something that doesn't make your heart sing, but for some reason you're writing it, but maybe that's not the right subject matter to write about. So if it doesn't make your heart sing, why are you doing it? Right? If it doesn't,
That's
why are
yeah.
you doing it? Do whatever you do, make connect with your heart. Does it make your heart sing? Is it bringing you joy? Do you feel enthusiastic and inspired? So that's what I would say is, and if it's not, then connect with your heart. Work on creating that coherence between your brain and your heart. Coherence between your heart and brain. It's not one over the other, but it's coherence with the two. So I hope that's helpful.
Beautiful. So I'm going to put you on the spot, Jennifer. Let's do a hard math practice.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Sure. That's my
uh,
favorite part.
yes, perfect. So I love having or giving people the tools. So a 1 minute hard brain coherence
Sure.
that will cure everybody's writer's block and imposter syndrome forever.
Great.
How is that for a promise?
Hey, that sounds good. That sounds good. As long as people, are going to be taking us through this practice, but it's a tool that everyone can use multiple times a day before they sit down and start writing, when they sit down to do anything. And the more you use it, you also tap into your intuition. Your intuition resides here. So you'll be guided to what you need, resources, everything that you need for your writing, for your book, whatever screenplay, whatever it is that you're writing. So
Course, newsletter, notes,
exactly, course, newsletter, all of the above. Exactly. Whatever.
conversation with children or husband or
Yes,
bosses. Yeah, perfect.
exactly,
I love it.
exactly.
Okay.
All right. So I'll invite everyone to start by just sitting in a comfortable position with a straight spine, ideally. Relax your eyes closed and just shift your attention and energy to your breath as if you're gently, softly, slowly breathing in and out of your heart. So maybe inhaling for 5 seconds and exhaling for 5 seconds. Inhaling through your nose, of course, but as if you're breathing through your heart. And if your mind wanders, that's okay. You just bring your attention back to your breathing, softening the breath and softening your heart with each gentle and slow inhale and exhale. And on your next inhale, you can breathe in the feeling of appreciation, gratitude, love, and care for someone, something, or someplace in your life. And allow that feeling to expand in your heart. Maybe it's the care and the appreciation and love you have for your partner or your children or a pet. Or maybe you have a happy place that when you go there, you're so at ease, at peace. Or maybe there's something that you love to do that you so appreciate and are grateful for. So allow those feelings to be generated in your heart. These higher vibration feelings and emotions, regenerative and renewing feelings. And then you can just take a few more breaths at your own pace. And when you're ready, you can open up your eyes and come back into our discussion.
Thank you so much. Thank you for allowing me to play and being willing to to do it for all of us
Oh,
on
my
the spot
favorite.
without being prepared.
Oh no, I'm always prepared to do that. That's the core of my work.
I love it. Okay. Um, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay,
You
so last question. Where can we get your book?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So it's on Amazon. You can get it, do a search for Awakened Hearts, David Trotter, Trotter. He's the publisher, the lead
Okay.
publisher, and it's in digital, it's in paperback, and it's in hardback. And if you do pick it up, if you wouldn't mind, my chapter is chapter 7. If you wouldn't mind reading my chapter and maybe putting in a little review. Here's my chapter 7. Here I am. Yay. So my chapter is The 6 Heart Illuminations, How Divine Love Transformed My Life Path. So I hope you really enjoy the story, and there's other great stories here as well. But it launched last week, and it's already an Amazon bestseller in 3 locations, or sorry, in 3 categories, and we've got 80 reviews already. And then if you guys want to find me, ask me questions, my website is jendickens.com. So JenDickens.com. And my email is Jenn, at jendickens.com.
Wonderful. I will put all that information
Oh,
in
perfect.
that
Perfect.
in the live. So again, thank you so much. It's
Thank
been
you. Thank
pleasure and honor
Yeah.
to spend this time with you,
Yeah, it's my honor as well.
and we'll do a separate one on AI.
Yes, that would be great. I'd be happy to. Because there
Okay.
is a responsible way to do it, and I experimented with so many different things with AI that I'm
That's
happy to
fantastic.
share. Yeah, yeah.
Yay. Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining, and
Thank you,
have a
Magdalena.
great
Everyone.
day, evening, night. Okay. Bye guys.